So welcome everybody in our online class. Today we have session number 10, and we are looking at how to test web applications. But the plan for today is we go over the quiz or survey which you did. Not many of you, but we have 5 participants. I think. Then we talk about why testing web applications. So to start with, we will look at the architecture of web-based applications. And then in my notes it says gray box nature. We will talk about gray box and why most of the web applications testing is about gray box. And then we will go through some guidelines on how to test web applications. So let's start with the quiz. And when we start with quizzes, my favorite ones would be those where I don't have to read much. So I just look at the results as a group. So we will come back to the number 1 and 2. Number 3, what are the most common components of a test case format? Steps to reproduce, we have just one person, which is 20% out of 5. Steps to reproduce, guys, it's not about test case, it's about bug report. So steps to reproduce is a very important part of a format, but not for test case. In test case, we do have some steps, and we will look at those at the very end of that question, but it is not steps to reproduce. There is nothing to be reproduced there. Test matrix is good. So test matrices are a special kind of document, so it's not a part of anything else as a format. Requirements. Test case obviously is written against requirement. So a requirement is, I would say it's more like a background to the test case rather than a special field in a test case. So in a test case, but on the other hand, we have expected result. So we might say expected result plays that role. It says, okay, that is what's required. But again, a requirement in that straightforward way as a requirement doesn't exist as a field or part of the test case format. Use case is a completely different type of document. ID, obviously, guys, we have 100%, we have agreement on that. Well, good. Actual results is, yes, for the format, yes. We do not do actual result at the time of planning. We do test result at the time of execution, but definitely if you have a format, yeah, we need actual result, we need expected result. Somehow we have difference between 100% and 80% for actual and expected, but yes, both are important. And then purpose, yes. You might call it purpose, you might call it title, but it explains why, I mean, what exactly you want to achieve. And then we do have some steps, or might have some steps, and those steps are about how to bring the application to the point where we test, where we say, okay, failed or passed. We bring the application to that state from the default base state. Default base state is when you just run the application and do nothing. Let's say you type portnow.com, hit the enter key, and that whatever happens, whatever comes to you is a default base state. So how do you go from the default base state to testing, let's say, email field on the self-registration form on the portnow.com? Then you need some steps, how you really go there and what you do before you say, okay, failed or passed. Good. Format and style for developing test cases. So format and style for test cases. The same format and style are used by all the companies. Guys, you are good. It is very, very special. I would say there is some common sense which we share when we do that, but since products are different, environments are different, development life cycles are different, the business kind of organization of test execution might be different. We might do it here and execute it here, or we might do it specifically to be executed on another, end of the planet, and so it all might impact, the structure. 3-4 major formats and styles are used by most of the companies. You know what? Maybe. We don't know, really. We just know they are not the same. What we can say for sure, there is no place where you can go and get 3-4 formats and choose one for yourself. It doesn't happen that way. So as a generic answer, I would say no. Defined by each and every company individually, absolutely, guys, and I'm really happy we are on the same page with you, unanimously. Defined by each and every QA team individually, true. We might have 2 teams in same companies doing it differently. Defined by each and every testing project individually, absolutely. We might have 1 team with 2 different projects. I was a QA manager. And as a QA manager, I had 2 different lines of products. One was personal information manager, calendar, expenses, things to do, phone calls, that kind. And another line of products were computer mice and trackballs. Guys, everything was different because software application and let's say trackball, which is a device, or mouse is a device with firmware, with chips, with mechanical parts, God knows. Absolutely, it was 1 team, but we had different projects and we did have different formats for different projects. So it might happen. We don't have to do it differently within 1 team, but if it makes sense, we will do it differently. So there is nothing wrong in doing that. We develop the product first and then the format and style for test cases. Guys, the question is why would you need test cases if everything is done already? You know, if the product is there, so what's the reason? So business requirement document defines the format and style for test cases. Not really. Same format and style as used in use cases. Nothing in common. Good. Very good. What else do we have as a picture? What is the difference between a test design and test plan? No difference. Nobody says that. Test plan consists of 3-4 test designs. Not really. Test design is a small group of test cases. Test plan is a large group of test cases. Good. Nobody supports that. Actually, there is just one, and we have kind of 100% vote for that one. Test design is about test coverage, which is true. It is about test coverage. Nothing forgotten. Everything is covered. Test plan is about test strategy, scope, focus, schedule, resources. Good. That is exactly what it is. Very good. Describe test scenario. Here, guys, let me tell you first, before we start looking at that, there are a couple of terms which are not defined in software testing. There is no exact definition. So you might use that, but then you don't know what people will understand, whatever they think is appropriate. So my suggestion is not to use certain terms. So test scenario is such a term. It doesn't have exact definition. Test script, same thing, doesn't have exact definition. Same as I'm saying, don't say you check something. You test, you validate, you verify, you do not check. Unless it's a checkbox and you just check the checkbox or uncheck the checkbox. There are certain things we do not bring to the table because it is not a professional terminology. So, and test scenario is one of those. So, analysis of how customers will react on software problems. Come on. A group of test cases. Yeah, that is the idea of scenario. So, step and then another step and another step. So, it looks like a group of test cases or test suites or whatever, and it is not. Some people will understand it that way. Some people will understand it that way, and that is a problem. That is why we don't want to use it. Format used by business analysts among to specify systems requirement. It is use case. That is the definition of use case, not test scenario. Slang term to be avoided, guys. That is 100%. Slang term to be avoided with no exact meaning. That is what it is. At least that is the way we want you to answer the question. How many test cases we need to test list box with 15 items. Actually, guys, that question is even answered in your book, in testing computer software book. Here is the question. You have, let's say we go to Notepad. Okay, let's go to Notepad, and we go to fonts. So we have regular, italic, bold, and bold italic. So the question is, how many test cases do I need? Should I try all 4? Should I try just one, or how many do I need? Or let's say fonts. If I have that many fonts, should I try all of them, or should I try just one? And I'm not testing the implementation of fonts. I'm testing the functionality of the list box. It's a combo box. I can type here. So I'm testing the functionality of that box. The question is, how many different fonts should I select and say okay to really see if it works? And the answer is, if you have a list box is represented by one item. If it works for one item, guys, it works for any other item. And we did that. We did have that conversation when we looked at the Energy Telecom project, I believe, at that form. Now, I have that noise here, guys. Someone is coming with noise. Okay, no noise anymore. Okay, it was Laura. Okay, so I had to mute Laura a little bit. Now, and we have 15. You don't want 15, it's waste of time. If it takes just one and you do 15, so you use time very unproductively. 40% are saying just one. Good, yeah. So 40% are right. Another 40% are saying 5, 1 for class and 4 for 2 boundaries. Guys, it's not a text field. It's a list box. So no more than 3. Okay, now we go to more complicated things. Write test cases for testing required zip code field. Guys, required is important. And just 4 people out of 5 actually decided to answer it. So, capacity testing, positive testing, valid zip code. Okay, the question is, write test cases for testing. So whatever test cases. Okay, positive testing. Positive testing, you provide valid zip code and make sure it is accepted. That's it. Good. Then we have 5 characters, digits only, expected result accepted. Digits only. Good. Negative testing, invalid zip code. So exactly, empty field, 4 digits. I would say, guys, if you think about class equivalence classes, we have here either 5 or whatever is less than 5. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, they all belong to the same class. But since the field is required, then empty field is a special case, because if it is empty, we should get the specific error message, which is not about zip code itself, but it's about field not being empty. So empty field is a special test case. 4 digits. So 4 digits is a different story. 6 digits. Okay, very good. So my only objection here is when you say invalid zip code, empty field is not the part to invalid. Empty field is the part to the required field testing. Required field. Expected result not accepted. Functionality. Positive is the same as capacity testing above. Negative, letters, special characters, expected result not accepted. Guys, I like it. really, it's cool. I don't know. Okay, it's honest. Okay, being honest is good. Acceptance test, zip +4. Actually, we didn't mean zip +4. We meant like just 5 digits, not 9 digits. But it's okay. Test zip code starting with 0. Make sure it doesn't become meaningless to the system. Guys, the very fact I said here, required zip code, required has lots of meaning. I wanted you to test it for required, and you are kind of a little bit ignoring that. Test if the form provides valid error messages if no zip is okay. Test if the form provides valid. That is about 0. Okay. Starting with 0, make sure it doesn't become meaningless. Blah blah blah. Selecting the field zip code. That question specifically is very common interview question. So you might expect to get one. And I would say that the first answer is pretty good. I like it. Then we have, how many test cases do we need to test email field? Guys, to be honest, I don't know exactly how many. I mean, I can tell you how we figure out. I don't know exactly the number. So, email field. Email field has to me, it has 3 distinctive areas. So one area is the mailbox, another one is domain name, and another one is extension. So we have to make sure it is okay with extensions. We have to make sure it is okay with domain names and with mailbox names. And in Wikipedia, I gave you a link to Wikipedia when it talks about emails. It gives you exactly the formats for each, because requirements to mailbox address are different to requirements for domain name. And that is pretty much what we do. So we just do one thing I want you to understand. We can do all the positive tests at once. We do not need 10 positives. For example, you are saying domain name accepts, should accept digits and letters and whatever else. You do not need 2 test cases. You just take 1 test case and put all those characters which are positive in one domain name. Then you need to provide mailbox address string. In that string, put whatever you want for positive testing. So you create a combination of all the positive, expected positive, and put it all in one test case. And that test case is supposed to pass. You might say, yeah, but what if it fails? Then you will do it one by one. Okay? But you can save lots of time, because if positive testing passed once, so now you don't have to do it. I mean, if you can do it 1 time instead of 20, guys, do it 1 time instead of 20. And only if it fails, you will do your investigation in which specific place it failed. With negative testing, you cannot afford that. In negative test, I mean, if it has 25 places where it should fail, you cannot put 25 to fail, because each of them should cause failure. So negative tests, you test 1 by 1. You have dedicated test case for each thing to fail. For positive testing, you can bring all of them in 1 test case, because they're all supposed to pass. That is the idea. And when I read what it says here, what would I say? Capacity. Capacity is important when you test the text field, absolutely. But then we still have to test the input. And in email, input is much more important. Okay, what else? Login and password. Let's take a look at that one, because login and password is such a common interview question. We cannot play games with that. We have to be real good in answering that question. Let me make sure we document what we do. Okay, guys. So it says valid login input. Expected result, successfully logged in. Valid password. Yeah, listen, you cannot say it like that. It's not like you type login, say OK, and it lets you in without password. or you type password, say OK, and it lets you in. So you have just, basically you have just one test case here, and that test case is important. It is a positive test case. In login password, when it dialog box, when it comes to functionality, there is just one test case. So you are saying valid login plus valid valid login, valid password, and what you expect is you logged in, and that is positive, and that is just one positive. Now let's go to negative. Let's say number one, negative. How many negative test cases do we have? We might have more than one. So let's see. Test case 1, valid login plus valid password equals the system lets you in. Oh God, looks like mine. Huh. I like it. Test case 2, valid login plus password saved by the browser, shown in bullets. What you test here is not functionality of your dialog box. You test maybe functionality of your browser being able, to remember that stuff, but it is not a feature of your. It's not a feature of your application. It is somebody else's feature. I mean, it's nice to be tested, but it's not exactly what we are looking at. Test case number 3, valid login and password. The very functionality which allows you not to type it in yourself, that is what you test. That functionality has nothing to do with your application. It's a browser feature. Test case 3, valid login plus password copied, pasted. It has nothing to do with functionality. It's not the question how you type it in or how you paste it in. It's not a functionality testing. But shown in bullets. It doesn't matter if you copy or paste or type, so it should be in bullets anyway. It is a test case number 2 positive. Number 2 positive is password shown in bullets. It's more like graphic user interface testing. It's not exactly functionality. Okay, not characters. System lets you in. Valid login, valid password, refresh. Nothing is displayed. Lots of things, which is good, guys. I'm not saying it's not good. I'm saying it is good, but I still want to have the skeleton first, and then we will play with different parts of the meat we put on that skeleton. Valid login, valid password, left click twice. There is no option to copy or cut. What do you mean left click twice? Left click twice. No option to copy or cut. Security is assured. It is another positive testing, which is GUI testing. And it is also positive, and it says copy, both copy and cut menu items disabled on password field. Yeah. So that is the graphic user interface testing. Okay, coming back. We didn't have any negative test case. Did it ask for positive? Oh, it says positive. 3 or more positive test cases. Sorry. Okay, it is asking for positive. It's not asking for negative. Okay, good. Enter valid username login. Valid paste username. Okay, so guys, if we are limiting ourselves only to positive, here is what I will do. You can actually do 4. You can do 4 copy. Okay, see, I didn't pay much attention to the question myself. It's all about positive. Then here we have copy. Copy. And here we have cut. So here are the 4 menu items disabled. Look, if you do that, guys, you are perfectly fine. Now let's keep going. What is the difference? We did that. Write functionality, not GUI test cases for find text box in Notepad, as many as you can. Find text box in Notepad. Edit, find. So what can we do here? Functionality, not GUI. Okay, what do we have here? Wow. Okay, 0 input, very good. Expected result button disabled, very good. 1 character input, expected result found. Okay, we run it, we find what we search. 6 characters input, found. Okay, 6 like in between boundaries, so it was this kind of the value in between boundaries, and 127 is the maximum number of character, maximum, very good. Expected result found. 128, so maximum plus 1. Expected result, it accepts just 127. Letters, digits, special characters. It is good. There is just one deficiency here, guys. The deficiency here is we are not really testing how good it is at searching. So it finds 1 character, yeah, but what if it has 2 characters or 3 characters? What if we search up? What if we search down? What if we do match case or not match case? So that is also kind of very, very critical. And we have an essay here. Wow. You know, guys, what I'm gonna do, I just don't know. It looks very nice. I will put it, I will copy paste that one to Skype, okay, for your group. So you will actually look at that because it has so much information. I think it deserves a certain analysis. So you will analyze that and we will discuss it next time. Okay. Define equivalence class. That one is relatively easy. Let's see. Set of elements associated by an equivalence relation. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's wrong. It just doesn't explain much in terms of how we use it in software testing. Yeah, so certain elements which have something in common. So so under certain angle, when you look at them, they're all the same. That is equivalence class. Okay. Equivalence class is a set of inputs that are treated by software the same, means software uses the same logic to each element of equivalence class. It's not just each same logic, it will provide exact same result. So the result is the same. It is a set of input data which is used in testing, would result in same output, very good. Supposed to result in same output. A set of values for which the behavior is by specification assumed to be the same. Very good, very good. So guys, we are pretty much done with this survey. Let me exit this survey. And let me ask you if you have questions so far. Anybody with a question?
Hello, Matthew.
Huh?
I want to ask. Hello.
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
I want to ask you that you show example how we need to write test cases for login and password, because we don't know much about test cases.
Oh yes, we have a session on test cases. It's coming. But you have basic idea. We didn't ask for anything real big in test cases. Number one. Number two, guys, I gave you the lecture, videotaped lecture on how to do test cases. You know where it is. Do you know, or you want me to show you where it is?
We want that you show.
Okay, when you go to your okay.
Michael, does she not mean specifically for login and password test cases?
No. We have a lecture, videotape.
I think she means specifically for...
That dialog box, no. We do not have lecture for that specific dialog box, no. Okay, did I give you access to the full-time folder?
No.
Maybe. Okay, guys, let me fix that. Let me write it down. I will create links on your class page to that video. Okay, video on test documentation. So we have a video, 3.5 hours on test documentation. And I'll give you the link, and it is an amazing thing. It will change the way you see the world and the software testing and yourself in software testing. It's an amazing piece. Okay, then we go to our feature kind of presentation, feature discussion on web application testing. Let me show you that picture. You can see it on my screen, but what you can also do, it is given to you right here. You have a link to that one. It says web application architecture. Here is the link. In today's session, so link number 3 is web application architecture. It gives you that file, so you can open it on your computer. So for the purpose of the class, I will use the picture on my screen. So guys, we talk about testing web applications, and I would say maybe 70%, maybe 80% of you will test web applications as your first job. It could be mobile, actually. So I mentioned we have a couple of people who got job offers today from the previous online class, and so one of those will test mobile application. And actually, our very first guy who got a job from online batch, so he was also testing mobile applications. So mobile and web-based applications is something which is 99% chance you will test. We have a special webinar to be recorded next week on testing mobile applications. We also have a lecture in our library, 3.5 hour lecture on testing mobile application, which we did before. It explains certain technical background. It's not that much about testing. The second one, which we will record next week, is specifically about testing, like 1, 2, 3, how to test things. So you will be well prepared. Now we are looking at web applications, and there are certain things you should understand. We know what's black box testing, we know what is white box testing, and then there is a term gray box testing. The idea of gray box testing is it is an extension of black box. It has nothing to do with mix of white and black. It's not white. It doesn't require, doesn't assume any knowledge or any access to the source code of the application, unlike some people think. It is an extension of black box. It is not extended up to the level of source code. Okay? So if you get it extended to the level of source code, it becomes white box. In our case, it is extended to the knowledge, some knowledge, little knowledge of architecture and data structure. And then you get tools, and those tools allow you to get access to certain information which you cannot really access as a user. You have to be, having tools. Okay, you can see two rectangles saying client side on the left-hand side. It says client side. We have two clients. So one client is operating system is like Windows, XP, Vista 7, Ubuntu, Red Hat Linux, or Macintosh. That is the client on the top, and then client, which is right below that, is a mobile client. So we have a web application user interface. We have a browser running on mobile device. So it has a specific operating system, and it has browser running on that operating system. Let's say Safari, for example. I have iPhone, and on my iPhone I'm using Safari. So inside of my Safari I can open any web application. So, and we have two platforms on which we test web applications. So we can test them on computers running Windows, Unix, Macintosh operating systems, or we might do it on mobile devices, which is not mobile testing, but kind of web application testing. And I think the balloons with certain words here, right here, those balloons are very helpful because they give you certain keywords which otherwise you might not understand the meaning. So I mean, obviously you know the browsers, Internet Explorer, Opera, you know, my Firefox, Chrome, Safari, you know that one. But and I hope you know what's Ubuntu, Red Hat, Linux. So they are flavors of Unix. But then you will see protocols, you will see different servers, backend. So we are coming to that part. So we have browser here. Oh, I'm sorry. We have a browser, and inside the browser we have the application. And let's say you go to Amazon.com. You just type into your URL field. You type Amazon.com, hit the enter key, and then what happens? You see that arrow which goes from browser to the web server. First of all, what's web server? So web server, you can think about web server as a computer. And there is a computer. And that computer doesn't do much. It just keeps files on it. When you go to Amazon.com, so it goes, let's say, okay, it goes to, it downloads Amazon.com index, whatever HTML, whatever that page is about, the home page, and then that page refers to lots of images, so all the images will be downloaded, so you can see the nice looking picture. The job of the web server is to keep files. It doesn't do any computations, calculations, any logics. For the logics, we have the application here, that one. Here is the application, and so we have application server, which is another computer, or it might be everything might be on same computer in the backend, or it might be on different computer. So we have that application. Application does the logic, and application could be developed in PHP and Java and Ruby and Python and VBNet, ASP.NET, C#, so it gives you certain languages. Web server by itself, it could be Internet server here, IIS, Apache, Glassfish, certain things you might hear about before, but well, they are servers. Here are the languages. So when you type in Amazon.com, you deal with a web server which sends you data. Then inside of the search box of the Amazon.com, you type in testing computer software, and you hit the search button. So what happens? Whatever you do in your browser, there is a protocol in which browser talks to web server. That protocol is HTTP. And actually it says here, so HTTP, HTTPS, which is secure HTTP. So there are certain protocols. So those two talk in HTTP protocol. And so HTTP request goes from browser to web server. And when browser server talks back to the browser, it sends back HTTP response. And there is a tool called Fiddler. Let me type it here for you. Fiddler. My suggestion, guys, go to Google, type in Fiddler, search for the Fiddler, install one. It is a free tool. Install it on your computer, and look what's going to happen after. Let me tell you what Fiddler does. Fiddler intercepts requests and responses, and it does lots of other things. Not to mention other things, but before request goes from browser to web server, you can actually see it, And you can modify it if you wish. So you have to understand the HTTP protocol, obviously, which is not a big deal, by the way. But if you look at that level, if you can say, okay, there is a problem in HTTP protocol or HTTP request, or something is happening in that level at that level of communication, then you are doing gray box testing. You are not working with source code, but you are not going, from user perspective. You know something which user doesn't know. And you have, using tools, let's say Fiddler is a good tool. Using Fiddler, you have access to certain things which which makes you a gray box tester. Then web server, okay. Then what you type goes to the application, because application has to figure out what to do with your search string. So the application will build SQL statement, structured query language SQL statement to send to the database. And we have database server, which might be another computer or might be same computer. It really depends how they structure things. And what is running there? It could be my Oracle database or Microsoft SQL Server database or MySQL or Postgres, Firebird, DB2, which is a mainframe, Access. God, I don't want any Access, but okay, could happen. Now, so the application creates the request, the SQL statement, and sends that SQL statement to the database. Database replies with search results. It goes to the application. Application makes it nice looking stuff, and it is being sent to you. So you can see it in your browser. And it really creates some HTML, not just HTML, it creates some code, some code which sits in the memory of your computer. It doesn't exist anywhere else. They send that code and it sits in your cache, and then you see it. You can now see it. And if you have another tool, and they give you at work if you ask, and you might use that tool to go to the database and find out if the record was created. For example, if there should be record created, or you might really use certain tools to send SQL statements to the database bypassing the interface. You can do that. Database, each and every server generates log files. You might write a couple of lines of Perl or shell script code, which will go to the log files and will extract some information which might be of interest to you. All that is gray box testing. So you have an idea of the record structure. You have an idea about what's in the log file and how log file is structured. You don't know much, guys. You don't know any coding or anything like that, but you can go and work with it simply by having tools. That is gray box testing, and that is most of the web application testing. I mean, you might limit yourself to graphic user interface only, and which is also a big deal. I'm not saying we shouldn't do just pure black box. No, not really. We can do it. But what I'm saying, if you think about how the web application is being tested, most of the testing effort goes into gray box. Not exactly the black box and graphic user interface level of testing. Let me ask you guys, do we have any questions so far? No? Yes or no? Any questions? Alena, you have a question?
No, not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
I'm just thinking it over.
Okay, so then let's keep going. So guys, you have the picture. You have the picture. You can study that picture. Now, there is an article which I wanted to bring to your attention. It's right here, Testing Your Website article. That article is 10 years old. And I consider myself lucky because when that article was just published, and it was probably 2001, I made a copy of that article. Nothing is forever on the internet. So there was a magazine. And in that magazine, they and they publish that magazine twice a year, actually. So there was an article written by a good guy about very important issue, because at that time, everybody was moving from Windows application testing to toward web application testing, and the question was, how do we test web applications? What is the value of that today? It's simple. Web applications at that time were much simpler than today. They didn't have that many technologies. And for you, since you are starters, you just start doing software testing. It makes sense to start with simple things. That is my point. So I want you to read that article, and I'm not going to say a lot about this, but I will still touch a couple of things. Number one, browser compatibility. Browser compatibility is a huge issue. Oh, actually it says that, guys. It looks like I'm reading. I'm not. It's my own word. It's huge. It is more huge than it was 10 years ago. We have lots of browsers, but 10 years ago they did care. People who make browsers, they did care about browsers being up to certain standards, and kind of they still wanted developers to write some code which will be viewed nicely by all the browsers. In today's world, they don't care. If they do Chrome, okay, and you didn't customize it for Chrome, now you have a problem. Same with Explorer, same with Firefox. So the distance between browsers is much larger, number one. Number two, browsers now support many more things they didn't support at the time. 10 years ago, 11 years ago, browsers supported HTML, JavaScript, maybe a few more things. But now it's about widgets and Flash and God knows what. So browsers are 10 times more complicated today. So which results in more bugs, which results in consistency, between browsers being a bigger and bigger and bigger issue. So what you do, you look at different browsers you have to use in testing. Your management will tell you, do not decide which browsers you take. They have statistics. They're hosting companies, the company which keeps their files. Hosting companies give them exactly the statistics on which operating system people use, which browsers they use, which versions of browsers they use, which resolutions of the screens people use. So that thing is known. It's not your job to define. They will tell you, okay, we are supporting, let's create a test matrix. It is going to be a typical test matrix. So we are saying, okay, we support Microsoft Internet Explorer 8, Microsoft Internet Explorer 9, and I don't know. Then we support Firefox. Guys, I really don't know what is the latest version. Let's say 10. And we support Chrome, whatever. And we support Safari, such and such. Safari. Okay. That is what we want. Now, which operating systems? It is a good question. So let's say under Windows 7, we do care about Explorer 10. Okay, let's say Explorer. Okay, here we are saying yes. Okay, we care about this one. Firefox, yes, we say we care about Firefox. We care about Chrome. And we care about, we don't care about Safari. Okay. Under Vista, I don't know if we care about Vista at all. Under Vista, we have just one we care about, which is Firefox 10, for example. Under XP, we care about Explorer 8 and Explorer 9 and Chrome. And so on. And then we say Mac. OS 10. We care about what? Just Safari. We don't care about anything else. Just Safari. Yes. So that is the matrix, test matrix for doing browser and operating system compatibility testing. So we can say browser compatibility. We can say or operating system compatibility. Operating system compatibility. Another term for that is cross-browser testing. Actually, we will cross-browser testing. And okay, it's not my day. Cross-browser testing and cross-platform testing. Now, guys, imagine we want to have Windows 7, Vista, XP, and Mac. And we might have some Unix interest. How do we do that? So should we have 4 computers? Not really. What we do is we use virtual machines. If you don't know what's virtual machines, go to Wikipedia and read about virtual machines. It's not a big deal. My suggestion, install one at home. And the most common virtual machines are coming from companies such as VMware. Another one comes from Oracle. It's called VirtualBox. Another one I like comes from a company called Mocha 5. You don't have to know all of them, guys. One is good. If you know more than one, it's amazing. So the most common are VMware and VirtualBox. Just search, install, play. What virtual machines are doing? Virtual machines are software. And that software mimics hardware. So you can run virtual machine, VMware, let's say, server, and you say, you know what, I want to create Macintosh computer, such and such Macintosh computer, and it will create that computer on your system as a software. For Macintosh, they want you to pay money, but others are free. So you create multiple computers just on your system. Then you install operating systems into those computers. Then you go and install browsers and software you test, and this if it takes that. So you create multiple computers just on your computer. That is what you do with virtual machines. Browser compatibility testing, operating system compatibility testing, or otherwise cross-browser, cross-platform testing is done a lot in virtual machines environment nowadays, okay? Because nowadays virtual machines are very good. 5-6 years ago, lots of people will tell you, you know what, they do not mimic real operating systems good enough. Real computers not good. Now they are good enough to do testing on them. Now, browser compatibility, operating system compatibility. Functionality, I would say, is not very much different from Windows applications or any other line of any other platform. But security is a very special issue, and you guys are not supposed to know much about security testing, and people who are good at security testing, they pretty much all they do is security testing. So unless you really specialize, so you cannot do much. Navigation, that is something I wanted to talk to you. Navigation is not just about how convenient it is for user to test things. Navigation also is about certain things to be in place when we need them. For example, just verbally describing a certain situation. You go to website, let's say Amazon, for example. Imagine Amazon. You go to buy a book. You find that book in a catalog, you put it in a shopping cart, then you come to the shopping cart and you say, okay, let's start processing. And then dialogue comes after dialogue, screen by screen. They ask you, okay, here is the confirmation of quantities of what you want to buy. Then here is your mailing address, billing address, shipping address. Here is your credit card information, and then in the middle of that you say, you know what? I just want one more copy of that book. And what do? You say back. You push the back button in your browser, and you know what? The window comes and it says the page doesn't exist. You say, wait a second, I'm in the middle of transaction, you know. That is a typical navigation problem. And navigation problem comes from specific issue. It is called dynamic pages. Dynamic pages. I mentioned 10 minutes ago that when server, backend server, application server sends you data, that data sits in your cache. That page which you see in your browser sits in your cache. It is not saved on the server itself. So that is dynamic page. There are static pages. Static pages. When you go to portnow.com and you see whatever you see, it is a page. It is a file. You go and that file is waiting for you. When you see search results, there is no page. It's just, you know, temporarily existing thing. For how long it exists? Well, as long as developer keeps it there. So at some point, developer just cleans up the cache and that's it. So now the question is, or the issue is, until I do need the data, it shouldn't go out of cache. It should stay in the cache. And I understand you faced that page not found issue a lot when you try to go back in your browser. So what happened? They erased the page in the cache instead of keeping it there because it is a dynamic page. They are trying to free up cache. They don't want to trash cache. So sounds the same, but it's different. So trash and cache are different things. And then they have to logically kind of make sure it is there when we need that. And you have to test for that. There is another issue which might happen. Let's say you purchase the book and it gives you the confirmation receipt. And then you say, why don't we go back and use that back button, you know, and see what's going to happen. If the system works right, it says page not found because the page is destroyed. After transaction is done, the cache is empty. There is no way back. It happened to me multiple times. I was going back and modifying my order, and now I can go back to the register again. Guys, now I don't know how many transactions we have now. So if transaction is done, there should be no way back. And one of the problems, there is a way back. Okay. So guys, you have that article to read. And one more thing I want to show you here is it says 10 tips for testing web applications. It comes from a company called UTest. Actually, the very last page of that document talks about UTest. What's good about UTest, you can go there and grab a project as a self-employed. So they are always looking for people who want to test, and you can bid for participation in certain projects. Some people say, can I get a nice project, real life project? Go there. You will get some. And they have certain 10 tips on how to test web applications. And then website testing checklist. That one I found browsing web and answer. So the question is there a generic checklist for website testing? And the guy just created one. And when I looked at that, I would say in some places it is trivial, but you know what, guys? It is worth reading, it's worth going through, and it is even worth making a copy, because you don't know if it is going to stay there, if the entire website is going to stay, for another week. So my suggestion, whatever you see on the web, make a copy. So it is nice, and that is why I gave you the link there, and it is a part of your homework. Now, let me get off the record